This shocking confession could shake the entire continent of Europe. The NATO Secretary General openly said what Brussels has preferred to keep quiet about for years. Without the United States, Europe simply cannot defend itself, neither today, nor tomorrow, nor in the foreseeable future. These words struck deep into European capitals like a sudden icy cold shower and served as a powerful wake-up call for the entirety of the European continent, which talks more and more about strategic autonomy, but in reality remains deeply and critically dependent on Washington. And now, more information in our report. My name's Yevhen Sura. This is the Glavret channel. Subscribe and give us a like. Let's get started. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, in his speech, essentially put a definitive end to the debate over whether Europe can guarantee its own security independently. According to him, any assertions or claims that European countries can defend themselves without the direct assistance from the United States are simply nothing more than an illusion. Rutte emphasized that in the current climate of global instability, amid Russia's war against Ukraine and rising military threats, the United States remains the key and irreplaceable element of Europe's defense. He stated quite directly and explicitly, if anyone in Europe thinks they can do without American support, without the US military presence, and without the American nuclear umbrella, those individuals can only continue to live in a world of pure fantasy. According to the NATO chief, the reality is much harsher. European armies, despite increasing defense budgets, still lack sufficient resources, large-scale logistics, and technological capabilities to independently withstand a major military threat. Rutte especially emphasized that even a sharp increase in defense spending in Europe will not solve the problem in the short term. In order to truly reach the level of full independent defense, European countries would have to spend not 2, 3, or even 5% of GDP on the military, but much more. We're talking about colossal sums, amounting to trillions of euros, as well as decades of deep restructuring of the defense industry, command structures, and the entire security architecture. He paid special attention to the nuclear factor. Without the United States, Europe effectively loses a key element of deterrence. Creating its own full-fledged nuclear shield would require not only enormous financial expenditures, but also political decisions that most EU countries are simply not ready for today. Moreover, such a move could provoke a new arms race and further destabilize the situation on the continent. The NATO chief's statements came amid increasingly active discussions in the EU about so-called strategic autonomy, the idea that Europe should be less dependent on the United States in the field of defense. However, Rutte essentially made it clear, autonomy is possible only in concepts and long-term plans, but not in the real military sphere here and now. According to him, NATO remains a collective alliance in which the contribution of the United States is fundamental, and it is simply impossible to replace it. The context of this statement is extremely important. It was made at a time when Europe is facing several challenges at once. The ongoing war of Russia against Ukraine, rising tensions with Moscow, instability in the Middle East, and uncertainty about the future policy of the United States. Against this backdrop, Rutte's words appear not just as an analytical assessment, but as a direct warning to the European elites. He also emphasized that the security of Europe and the security of the United States are interconnected. According to him, America is interested in a strong and stable Europe, just as Europe is interested in maintaining a close alliance with Washington. Any attempts to weaken this connection or to set Europe against the United States only play into the hands of the West's adversaries, especially the Kremlin.